Hey, Cheryl Kirchbaum here. Just checking to see if I can grab the link for you for YouTube. Uh, if you want to invite your friends to join on YouTube. We are live to my private group on Facebook and to YouTube. And so as you're joining today, tell me where you're from. You can invite your friends to the private group on Facebook. You could send them to the live feed on, here we go. I think I found it. On YouTube. Let me see if I can grab the URL for that. Feed on, here we go. Yay. It's here. And grabbing the URL, I'm going to try putting it into the comments so that you can send your pro-life friends to the YouTube page if you'd prefer. But you're always welcome to invite them to this group, the private group. All right, I'm here tonight. It's Teaching Tuesday, and we're going to talk about the new Texas law tonight. I call it the Texas test. I've been watching what people are saying online about the new Texas heartbeat bill, and all sorts of things come to mind. And so I'm going to get to that, but just a reminder of who I am. I am Cheryl Kirchbaum. I'm an award-winning author. I had an abortion when I was 17, and for the 14 years after that, I was very pro-choice, advocating for abortion laws and abortion rights. If Shout Your Abortion had been a thing, I would have been doing it. But then things changed for me because I chose a relationship with Christ. And about a year after I chose a relationship with Christ, he ever so gently, sweetly talked to me about my abortion. And I got very defensive. My first reaction was to get very defensive and feel very self-righteous about what I did, blaming other people. But finally, I realized that it was solely my responsibility. That if I had chosen life, my family would have supported me in that choice. And that provided a reconciliation for me. And I had no intention of getting into the pro-life movement, but God, being who he is, led me here. And it's been a long journey, and you can read about it in my memoir titled Retested. I'm happy to say that it's an award-winning book. It got finalist in 2 different awards. But the International Book Awards is the one I'm most proud of, honestly. I did not get the absolute winner of that category, but I was finalist, and the person who won was the Pope. And so I figure, if I'm not going to win in the category, it would be okay to lose to the Pope. But I did get finalist in two different awards. And my readers tell me that it's a good read, and you can find reviews on Amazon if you'd like to learn more. All right, so we're going to talk about the Texas test, the heartbeat law that went into effect September 1st, and what that means for us as pro-lifers. And I'm purposely calling it the Texas test because this is a good test for us pro-lifers and our nation for what's going to happen when we overturn Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton. And I say when on purpose because I really do think it's going to happen. And we need to be prepared because that's not the end of abortion. That's just changing laws for the nation. It doesn't change the laws for the states. And even when all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Change their laws so abortion is no longer legal anywhere in the United States, that's still not the end of abortion. And it's already being tested in Texas right now. There are companies who are offering to help women regardless of the law. Women are already being shown how to order pharmaceuticals so that they can have an abortion at home. So it's not the end. Just because the laws have changed doesn't mean that it's the end. And it's going to be interesting to see how the statistics bear out, right? Will the abortion rate go down? Will we even have good statistics on that, given that women can get pharmaceuticals and have abortions at home? So what do? First of all, we remain prayerful in a worshipful way to the Lord. And we pray before we respond to people. All sorts of angry women in Texas and around the country and around the world about this new heartbeat bill. And they're saying things that are not true. But there are also pro-lifers who are saying things that are not true. So we need to make sure that we stay on our game, that we know the truth, that we stand on the truth, and we stand on integrity, and we don't respond out of anger, but we respond out of agape love. So let's see. Let's talk about some of the lies that we see in the state. One of the lies that we see is that pro-lifers are only about pro-birth, about the babies, saving the babies. And there may be some people who are like that, and those people may be loud on the internet, but I really don't believe those are the majority, and I certainly don't believe that you are among those people. And we need to prove them wrong. So if you see somebody saying such a thing, you can say, well, I'm pro-life, and I donate to pregnancy resource centers. I donate to help women who are in crisis. I work to make sure that women are protected legally when they need help. I teach men to be pro-life as well, that they would stand up and be fathers when their girlfriends or the woman they had sex with becomes pregnant and has a baby. So we need to remember to keep on being life and being truth and standing firm wherever we go. Whenever we talk to people, whether it's online or in person, it's okay for us to say that we're pro-life and that we do something to help women in crisis. Because remember that the other side is only talking about women. They're not talking about babies. They are not giving voice to men. And yet men are the biggest influence on a woman's choice. And we know that statistically from a study done by, their name just went out of my head, of course. But there was a study conducted on who is most influential on a woman's choice. And the father of the baby came out at the top. So we need to remember that. And as mothers, like me, I only have boys, and it's my job to teach my boys to stand up for life, that if they get a woman pregnant, that they do everything to father that child, that our men stand to protect women from abuse, that our men are not involved in pornography or sex trafficking, right? These are all things that we need to be doing. So as a mother of boys, I am responsible for educating my boys about sex, about responsibility, about standing up and being a man, and about standing up when a woman is being hurt or women are being hurt, all right? And so we need to do all of these things. And we shouldn't shy back when we are told that we aren't doing these things. Instead, we should stand firm and say, yeah, we are. So what is it that we're going to learn from this Texas test? I think that we're going to learn whether we're up to the task, whether we really are up for helping women and helping families choose life. So we're going to see how much of a burden is put on the resources in Texas. We're going to see how well pro-lifers donate to these organizations that are helping women in crisis and helping families in crisis. Are there enough people working and volunteering at these organizations? And just a reminder that a lot of these pregnancy resource centers do have male volunteers. So I'm not in Texas, but the Pregnancy Resource Center near me, when a man comes in with a woman for her appointment, they immediately call one of their male volunteers, and the volunteer comes in and invites the man to meet with them so they can have a one-on-one conversation. And it has saved families. It has saved babies' lives in doing that. So this is not just a women's conversation, and we need to remember that and be involved and donate. So, look at your budget, look at your means. How can you support pregnancy resource centers? Or how can you help pro-women's healthcare centers? Now, that's kind of a new thing. I learned about it a couple years ago. There is a new certification for OBGYNs that are pro-life and pro-women. All right, so certification has been created for these clinics, and they are truly clinics, full OBGYN services. And they work with women across all financial needs. And so we need to be helping them as well. Now, I do a couple things. I do donate some money. I have some means to donate to them, but I'm also a patient there because they take my insurance. And so I go there for my OBGYN appointments. So you could look up and see if you can find one near you. And I'm pretty sure I've got them listed on my website. Let me just go here and find my list of resources. Pro-life resources. Yes. All right. So I'm going to provide a URL here, a web address here, so that you can take a look. All right, so you can go there and you can find the pro-women's healthcare clinics, as well as pregnancy resource centers, and you can search and find out what is available in your area. And then, if you're in Texas, there are all sorts of women who went and had an abortion at the last minute before the law was enacted on September 1st. And those women may be regretting their abortions, or they may not be regretting their abortions yet. Remember, it took me 17 years to regret my abortion. So it happens at different times for different women. Most women, when they walk out of an abortion facility, feel relieved. That's their immediate response. But that doesn't mean that that's the way it'll stay. All right. So some women are immediately affected within a week, within a month, within a couple years, within 5 years, despite what the study says. They came out a couple years ago about women don't regret their abortions. What it was really saying is that women don't regret their abortions within 5 years. And even then, there are problems with that study. Now, I've talked to all sorts of women. I've even talked to women who it took 40 years for them to realize that they regret their abortion, or that their issues can be traced back to their abortion, and are seeking post-abortion healing programs. 40 years after their abortions, and they're seeking post-abortion healing programs. And there are many of them, and you can find them on my website at that same web address that has the pro-women's healthcare centers. All right, so I want to encourage you to donate to one of these organizations. Find one and go donate. Abby Johnson has Loveline, and regardless of what you think of Abby Johnson personally, Loveline is providing resources and connecting women up with their local resources. So that's a good all-encompassing contact for women who are in crisis. and help women to get healed. Make sure people know that post-abortion healing is available. And when people say that women don't regret their abortions, say, well, that's interesting. I wonder why there are so many post-abortion healing programs available and more than one curriculum. All these resources are available to women, and we need to make sure that they know. And so speak up and say so. All right, so my basic message is we need to be the face of Jesus, that we need to show agape love to people, and we need to remember that they are not the enemy, that the spirit of darkness is the enemy, right? Ephesians 6. So our weapons are against the spiritual darkness that is out there. It just happens to be very obvious and in our face through people. All right, but we need to show agape love to people because we want to love them over the lifeline to being pro-life and being pro-Jesus. That's our goal. All right, in a few weeks, we are going to start the next 40 days, 40 days of worship to end abortion. So you can see on the screen that I've got more than just my memoir there. Also, worship to end abortion. Oh, there we go. Worship to end abortion. And so we're going to go through this book for 40 days, starting on September 22nd, and we're going to worship our way through. We are going to pray for ourselves to be ready and prepared to work in the world for the end of abortion. And not just in the United States, not just for the overturning of Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton, but for the end of abortion. We need our goal to be long beyond our lifetimes. And we need to set things up for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, all of those coming after us, so that abortion does not rear its ugly head like it is right now, and like it has for the last 50 years here in the United States. All right. And so this book is all about leading Christians through that process. And the first thing we need to do is work on ourselves and educate ourselves. And that's what this book does. The first part of this book does. And then we turn our attention to praying for the people around us. And this book will lead you through. So we're going to do this in my private Facebook group. We will do this on MeWe, and we will do this via my email list. So you can take the Pro-Life Challenge from mybodymyworship.com, sign up for the Pro-Life Challenge, and receive emails if that's your preferred thing, if you are not interested in being on social media, which is just fine. Totally understand that. All right, so join me starting September 22nd. We're going to get started on this. We do it every fall and we do it every spring. And in the spring, we do it during the season. All right. So we'll do this starting September 22nd and go up until Halloween, I believe. All right. So, all sorts of women are really angry right now. And they're angry because they're afraid. And fear is the reason that women get abortions. Most women get abortions in the first place. They believe what they're hearing on social media. They believe what they're hearing in the news. They believe what they're hearing about Christians. They believe what they're hearing about pro-lifers. And we need to prove them wrong. Now, I finally watched the movie Unpregnant. It came out last year on HBO. It came out about a year ago. And I was too busy at the time to watch it. And we were canceling HBO Max this summer. And so it's like, oh, I got to hurry up and watch this movie before we cancel. And it really hit close to home. Main character was a lot like me. She's at the top of her class. She was organized. She had that road trip scheduled out and budgeted out what it was going to take to go on this trip. And what was really interesting to me was how the movie portrayed pro-lifers. They made us out to be people who are predatory. Like, we're going to come after you if you are going after an abortion. And made us out to be really creepy people. All right. And so we need to do everything that we can to be the opposite of that, to change our reputation. And we do have 50 years of varying reputations in the pro-life movement. And there is such a thing as an organization called Grandmothers for Choice. These are women that remember what it was like in the 1960s, remember what it was like before Roe v. Wade, and are teaching their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren to continue to be pro-choice, and teaching them what they saw about pro-lifers over the last 50 plus years. And we need to not be any of those things and prove them wrong. All right, so let's be the love of Christ. Let's be agape love. Let's support women and families and men in choosing life. And let's remember that there's more than one facet to this. We need to remember that that sex trafficking is a huge push for abortion laws. That those who are involved in sex trafficking are taking women to clinics and forcing them to have abortions. And if we want that to end, we've got to take away the clientele for sex trafficking. All right. So that's got to come to an end. We need to pray for the end of that. We need to do what we can to end that. For me, in my house, it means I need to educate my sons and make sure that they're never part of that, and make sure that they talk to their friends so that their friends never become part of that. We need to end the addiction pornography, which is increasing among women, but of course there are way more men addicted to pornography than women. We need that number to come way down, because pornography addiction leads to abuse of women, leads to sex trafficking. So that's got to end. We need to be working there. We need to be advocating for women. We need to make sure women know that that they're being abused, if they really are. They need to know what is abuse and what is just an argument between couples. They need to know where they can go if they are being abused. They need help when the father of the baby is not providing child support. They need to know who they can go to make sure that they're getting child support. And yes, I know that the law says that we can garner wages for child support, but as we all know, that doesn't always happen. So women need resources for how to make sure that happens, and resources to make it through until baby daddies are providing as they should be. And we need far better sex education. And this is one of the things that I see so often online, that instead of the Texas heartbeat bill, that we need comprehensive sex education. Well, that may be the case. And I'm not disagreeing. I do, after all, offer a sex education course. However, Planned Parenthood is behind a whole lot of the sex education that's going on in our schools. It's a little bit of a conflict of interest, don't you think? And sex education, yes, needs to be comprehensive, but I don't think most people understand what that means. So the sex education that I offer is not just biblical. It is also it's scientific in that it talks about brain science, neuroscience, what sex does to our brains. Sex is addictive. It talks about contraception and what works and what doesn't work and what does it mean to work. Any of you who are fans from way back when may remember that when Rachel got pregnant, Ross was having a fit that he didn't know that condoms are 97% effective. Well, hello. Yeah, the only contraception that's 100% effective is abstinence, which is a reason to wait until you're married. and you're ready to have kids with your spouse, right? We all know that. And one of the ironic things that is all over social media right now is that we've got pro-choicers telling women, don't have sex with your men. Don't have sex with Texas men. Then they'll change the law. Well, actually, that actually makes us pro-lifers very happy, doesn't it? Right? Because you can't talk about abortion without talking about sex. So in my program, I also talk about the social issues, right? When you're having sex with multiple partners, you're asking for many more complications in your life rather than being focused on what the Lord has called you to do, where the Lord has called you to work, where the Lord has called you to minister to, whether on purpose and calling it ministry or just among your friends. That, having sex with multiple partners is so complicating to your life, right? And, we talk about people in the pro-choice movement talk about being gay, changing identity, all of those issues. And notice that everything is about ending our procreation. Because if we're gay, if we're transgender, we're not going to procreate. Abortion, we're not procreating, right? It seems to be all about bringing us to an end. And even back in the 1960s, we started this whole conversation about population control. And that argument will even come up today. And what I like to point out is, hey, that argument is over 50 years old. And I live outside of Washington, D.C., and there's still plenty of land, so I don't understand why we think we need to control population, because we still have plenty of food in the United States. We still have plenty of land in the United States, and yet you hear people in the United States saying we need to control the population. And that argument came from the 1960s, and what was going on there? The civil rights movement. So my question is, whose population are you trying to control? It's not a valid argument, right? So we need to point these things out to people and remember that the person who is posting the question, making the comment, who is going against what we have to say is not your only audience. So keep your cool. There are people out there lurking. They're watching what you say, and it may be planting a seed, or it might get them to actually start investigating things. It may get them to stop and think. All right, so continue to tell the truth in love. Tell the truth in love. And think about this Texas heartbeat bill like a test. A test for us. A test for us pro-lifers to do everything in our power to end abortion, no matter what the law says, and to stand up for women with agape love, and stand up for families, and cheer on the men who are standing up and doing what they should do. All right, that's what I have for tonight. I plan to be back for Teaching Tuesday through our 40 days of worship to end abortion. And I hope that you'll join me in the private Facebook group. And if you're not on Facebook, please send me a message. You can do that via my website, mybodymyworship.com. And I will make sure that you have access to Teaching Tuesday. All right. So contact me. All right, my friends, thank you for joining in tonight, and I'll see you next Tuesday.